So with The Incredibles 3 being recently announced, I saw a few posts online about what people want from The Incredibles 3, but also their worries about a third movie, because everyone seems to think that Pixar and Disney are the same people, when just because they're owned by the same people, it doesn't mean that the same people work on the same projects. Wow, I just said same people about 3 times in a sentence. But they seem to think that this will somehow ruin the movie, when I just know and trust that Pixar will make the best film they can. But also, it got me thinking about how certain people feel about Incredibles 2. You see, the first film is a high contender for one of the best Pixar movies ever, and I even think it's one of the best superhero movies in general. And even though the second one wasn't as well received as the first, it still holds a very good score on Rotten Tomatoes, had very good reviews, and of course, made lots of dollar. But so many people dislike this movie because it isn't as good as the first. But that could be said about a lot of franchises. Everyone has their favorites, and while some franchises do get worse in their sequels, there are some where, yeah, it's not as good as the first, but they still have a good entry to the franchise. For me, the only issue with the second movie comes from its villain, who, yeah, isn't as interesting as, say, Syndrome, but still is a good villain nonetheless. And so I kind of just want to put out a few of the things that I definitely want from the third movie. I know that the third film will most likely be a natural continuation of the films, and just like it did in the second movie, it's another adventure for this family of characters to go on. And so leaning into that, I definitely want to see a bit of a time jump. This is something a lot of people have talked about, and it's something I can definitely agree on. The second film takes place immediately after the first film. I would love to see Violet in a more young adult phase, where she's becoming more confident with her powers. I want to see Dash in that adolescent phase of being a teenager and really growing up, and naturally, I want to see Jack really rip into those amazing powers. Going back to the villains of these films, I also want another fresh villain, as much as Screenslaver wasn't the strongest villain, I didn't mind a plain, simple villain with a simple, evil purpose. The Incredibles is set in the 1960s with heavy inspirations from shows like The Batman and Robin and the original animated Spider-Man show. I think what makes these films stand out aside from the animation is, unlike the superhero films we get today, the easier going period pieces means we don't have to take it as seriously as we do with, say, the Marvel franchise. For me, the reason I love these films is the incredible characters, going off on another adventure, making it feel like classic Saturday morning cartoons with a sparkle of Pixar magic. It's inspired by those more camp and easier going shows, where it's going for more style and fun over substance. I don't need my villain to be connected to the Parr family. While sure, Syndrome is an incredible villain, I don't mind just a fresh villain with no connection, even if it's not as strong as Syndrome. I guess what I'm trying to say, while it's wonderful to have a villain with strong narrative and good motivations, a simple villain with a cool design and diabolical needs is kind of fine for this style of film. I mean, calm down, guys. It's only a superhero movie. Like the second movie, I enjoyed the film's addition to include other superheroes with their own unique powers. This is a big universe where the only limit is the writer's imagination. And given how Pixar always tried to challenge themselves, I can't wait to see what sort of superheroes they want to show off in the third movie. My final want for this movie is something the franchise has always been about, which is its family dynamic. Similar to the reason why I want these characters to be older is how that dynamic changes. We see this in the second movie as Elastigirl takes the spotlight and how that affects the rest of the family, particularly Bob. The Incredibles have always used this dynamic of what modern families go through, and they mix it in with the larger-than-life superhero stuff. It'd be great to see Violet go off on her own as an adult. Despite Mr. Incredible being the strongest person, how would he deal with old age and perhaps passing on the torch to his children? Helen finally realizing her potential now her children have grown up. Dash becoming more responsible with his powers and how it affects his daily life and those around him. The family dynamic has always been this film's biggest selling point, and I know that Pixar will never mess that up. But I never understood this weird hate for the second movie just because it's only slightly not as good as the first. And certainly this idea of Pixar messing up the franchise when they have never really messed up any of the franchises they have done. Okay, fine, we had one franchise that went off the rails, but it's only one, guys. Come on. I'm still not over Cars 2. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video of me talking about a franchise that I'm sure a lot of us are excited about. Let me know in the comment section what you want from the third movie. If you enjoyed this video, make sure to like and subscribe to the channel for more great content on all things animation, and you can give me a follow on all my social media stuff. It's all in the description box. But thank you so much for watching me, guys, and I will see you all in the next one.